Neil plugs in. He says, I know Kung Fu. 3 seconds, no training, full capabilities. Your AI can do that with your business. Today, I'll show you how. I'm a business operator. I haven't touched a programming language since college, but I've been building agentic workflows for the last 10 months. And the move that compounds isn't writing better prompts. It's writing better skills. Today, I'll show you the format that turns your business expertise into something agents can actually plug into. Here's the conventional wisdom in 2026. More and more operators are signing up for Claude Code and Claude Desktop. They're paying $20 a month, $50 a month, $200 a month. And most of them are using these tools as fancy chatbot. Type a prompt, they get an answer. Type the next prompt, they're re-explaining the same context in every conversation. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. That is where most operators are today. And here's what most operators don't know. Anthropic launched plugins in Claude Desktop on January 16. 2 weeks later, January 30th, they released 11 knowledge work plugins, 12 more in February. Today, there are over 20, all open source and organized by department, including sales, legal, financial, customer support, marketing. And if you're paying Claude $20 a month or more, plugins are sitting in your customized window right now. And most of you have not opened it. The lesson is not learning a new tool. The lesson is open what you already have. A prompt is what you type. A skill is what you save. And a command is what you delegate. Skills are how the agent thinks. Commands are how the operators delegate. Both are the format. I have over 130 expertise packets across 3 different libraries, 96 in OpenClaw, 24 in operator mode, and 8 in Celebrate, plus 6 golden commands. I didn't sit down and write 130 skills. I earned them. Each one came from a task that I completed or a recurring business need I noticed. I treated my agents as independent agents I could call on. The library grew the way small businesses grow specialists, one role at a time. Today, I'm going to show you 4 things. How to recognize when you are already building a skill without knowing it, how a single command stacks 3 different skills into one polished email with a real prospect on a real workflow, the 2 ways operators grow their libraries, one of which we're doing right now as you're watching it, and how skills harden through use, the same way operator SEO skill hardened through episode 3. If you ever type the same prompt for the 3rd time and wonder if there's a better way, there is. Let me show you how. Here's what plugins are. They bundle 4 things: skills, domain knowledge the agent reaches automatically; commands, explicit/commands you invoke; MCP connectors, wired-in access to your tools; and sub-agents, specialized personas for narrow tasks. Skills, commands, MCP, sub-agents. 4 primitives, 1 bundle. Think of it like a department. The skills are the playbook the team works from. The commands are routine processes you start with 1 word. The connectors are tools on every task. The sub-agents are the specialists you bring in for 1 job. That is a plugin. Today, I'm going to show you a plugin called Operator Skill Starter. It ships 2 primitives, skills and commands. 3 skills, 2 commands. Most operators reach for a skill that does everything. That's what I assume at the start too. Turns out the real architecture is the opposite. Small focus packets, not monoliths. Quick note before I show you this. I'm doing a simple email follow-up demo. A sales email because every operator has sent one. It's the cleanest possible example, but the pattern works for anything that has structure. A weekly client update, a customer support email, a first pass legal review, a proposal draft. The applications are limitless. This is just the example we all understand. Watch what the agent does without the skill. I type in a normal request. Draft a personalized follow-up email to Paige Phillips at Proof Advertising. I give it context. Cold first touch, wants a 15-minute call. The agent thinks for a second and produces this. Subject: the part of the campaign reporting no one loves. Strategy folks usually don't want to spend their Fridays reconciling numbers across Meta, Google, or whatever attribution tools the client insists on, but someone almost always ends up doing it. That's a decent email. Clean, it has a point of view, but look at what it actually knows about proof. Nothing. It gets the pain, Friday number crunching, defending the report to the client. Reasonable guesses, but guesses nevertheless. It's pattern matching the category, not researching the account. It doesn't know proof trumps awards. It doesn't know Paige went to Kellogg. It even handles 2 angles for me to pick, but both are generic. Lead with the pain or lead with being an indie shop. Neither one knows anything about proof, and it knows it guessed. Watch what it tells me before I send. Drop in a specific detail about proof's work, a recent win, a client category. Add a Calendly link, If page has any public writing, reference it. The part that actually makes it personal, the research, is asking me to go do that part. That is the agent without a skill. It doesn't know your business. It doesn't know to research. It doesn't know your archetypes. It doesn't know your voice. It defaults to the generic and hands you the homework. Watch this. I install operator skill starter, 3 skills, 2 commands, same agent. I know Kung Fu. Same prompt, now as 1 command. It runs 3 skills in a sequence: research, then draft, then voice. Account research goes first. It pulls Proof's real work, the Travel Texas campaign, the Drum Award win with Vista Media. It pulls Paige's background, Indiana, then a Kellogg MBA, classifies her as a number-driven operator, analytical buyer. And here's the part that I didn't expect. It couldn't find recent public activity on Paige. So instead of inventing some personal detail, it flagged a thin signal and shifted to company-level personalization. It made the call a careful operator would have made. Then draft and voice run as a single pass. Draft builds the email as a bundle. Voice strips the ChatGPT defaults and enforces the operator's register. The final email lands. Subject: campaign reporting after Travel Texas. Page: Proof's Travel Texas works in the kind of a multi-channel campaign where the post-campaign's reports end up touching OOH, digital, and performance data before it's done, which usually means someone is manually pulling from 3 or 4 attribution sources the night before the client calls. That is the exact gap we close. We connect attribution platforms and auto-build client-facing reports, so your team's time before the client meeting goes to the strategic conversation instead of the assembly. Would 15 minutes next week work to see how it looks for an agency like Proof? 1 command, 3 skills. The agent did the research itself, picked the archetype, drafted the email, and led with their actual campaign. Then it gave me 2 variants: the sharper one that opens up with Travel Texas, the safer one that works for an agency. And it flagged 3 things before I sent the email: that page title might be stale, that the campaign reference is weeks old, and that the pain is plausible, not verified. Don't let it harden into a fact. It did the work, and then it told me exactly where not to trust it. Same model, same prompt. The format made the difference. Skills harden through use. The skill you just watched has 3 rules I added the hard way. Earlier versions kept tripping the same 3 places, so I patched 3 lines of the skill MD. Guardrail 1. When the research and my instructions disagree, it flags it. It doesn't quietly pick one and move on. Guardrail 2. Match the relationship. On a cold first email, it never name-strapped the prospect's boss, even if the research found one. And when it barely knows the person, it pulls back to what it already knows about the company. Guardrail 3. No fake specifics. A plausible number stays a range, never a hard figure. An honest range beats a made-up number. 3 lines of markdown. The skill stopped making the call alone. It started offering me the call. That is the operator's discipline loop. More work up front, cheaper long term. Most channels will tell you to schedule a Friday review to audit your week. That's not how it actually works. The truth is, fatigue catches up before the calendar does. So one session, it hit me. What if we just create a skill? Something I don't have to keep typing over and over. I asked the agent, package this workflow. The agent reread what we've done and wrote a skill called publish blog. I refined it for a few more runs, and it's been doing the job ever since. That is path A. You don't write the skill from the start. You earn it. Path B is different. It's for domains you haven't walked your agent through yet. You want to know what Path B looks like? You're watching it. The QA that turned into this episode, that is an interview extraction in flight. I've been doing this for the last 3 episodes. The prompt is simple. We want to do this. Please ask me a series of questions to distillate the domain and turn it into a reusable skill. That's it. The agent runs the structured interview. What comes out is a goldmine because it separates the work from generic content. Targeted operator experiences I can actually draw from, not made up examples. The interview itself becomes the skill. Every episode I record makes the scripting skill sharper for the next one. The channel itself is a receipt that the interview extraction works. Crystallization compounds, interviews expand. Crystallization takes what you already done and locks it in. Interviews take what you haven't said yet and captures it. You need both. And the honest answer, do I have a Friday ritual where I sit down and crystallize all my work? No, I do it as it emerges. I crystallize when I feel like I have identified a pattern, which usually means that the fatigue of repetition has caught up. If a competitor tells you they have a Friday ritual, they're either disciplined in the way that most operators aren't, or they're pitching you a course. The truth is, fatigue catches up to you before the calendar does. And the second truth is that skills aren't perfect when they're born. They harden. That's the next thing. Skills aren't perfect day one. You just saw it. 3 guardrails I added to the draft outreach. But that's a small version of hardening the loop. The biggest version comes from episode 3. Our SEO skills went through 6 to 7 different revisions before they stabilized. And here's the pattern that we discovered. The cheapest version of any skill is the one that any dumber model can run. Gemini 3.1 Flash, DeepSeek V4 Fast, they cost cents per call. GPT 5.4, Opus 4.8, they cost dollars per call. Think of it like cooking. You don't hire a Michelin star chef to assemble a sandwich. You write the recipe so clearly that a line cook can make it. Then maybe for the harder dishes, the head chef walks the line cook through the tricky passes. We took our SEO skills, wrote it for cheaper models, and used GPT 5.4 as the grader. The grader caught what the cheapest models couldn't catch. We sharpened the skills until the cheaper models stopped getting it wrong. That is the savings. That is model arbitrage in skill format. Now the catch. This isn't free. You don't get the savings by being clever on what models you pick. You get the savings by improving the skill. More work up front, cheaper long term. That is the operator move. When a skill underperforms, your first instinct shouldn't be to upgrade the model. It should be to sharpen the skill until the cheap model can execute it cleanly. Most channels will tell you that skills self-heal or they get better over time. That is the influencer pattern. Skills don't self-heal. You harden them. 3 rough edges, 3 lines on the skill MD. Same demo, runs cleaner. That is the loop. Which brings me to the last thing. How do you actually apply this if you're not in sales? Take any operator, any business. There's a weekly digest they do on a weekly basis. Retail operators, you're reading every email from your brokers and distributors and pulling the action items by hand. Marketing lead, you're scrolling through Instagram, LinkedIn, X, YouTube, screenshotting the wins and summarizing what worked. Customer support manager, you're reading the tickets, the call notes, the Slack threads, building the Monday meeting deck. 3 different operators, 3 different surfaces, 1 skill pattern, same shape every time. Pull from the surface, identify what mattered, surface the actions, hand back the digest. I call it a weekly synthesizer. It's not a skill you find in any library. It's a pattern you build once and run across every single surface of your business. CRM summarizer fires on retail. Engagement auditor fires on socials. Ticket digest fires on customer support. Same shape, different outputs. Now, most operators hear this and say, oh, I gotta build 50 unique skills. That's what I assumed too at the start. You don't need 50 unique skills. You need 5 patterns that fire across 10 different contexts. That's the operator's architecture. That's what the library compounds. If you're an operator watching this, your homework is 1 question. What's the weekly digest you're doing manually? That's your first skill. And the format you build it in, Anthropic shipped this on January 30th. Kat Wu, their head of product for Claude Code, calls this crystallized work software. I call them expertise packets. We're inventing the same vocabulary in parallel because the architecture is real. 3 things you can do tomorrow morning. First, recognize when you're already building a skill. Next time you catch yourself writing the same prompt for the 3rd time, stop. That's a skill candidate. The fatigue of repetition is the signal. Second, create the skill via an interview. Open Claude. Install the operator skill starter. Link is in the description below. Run create a skill on the domain you're tired of re-explaining. Pricing, brand voice, customer escalation, whatever it is. 20 minutes of structured Q&A makes you walk away with an expertise packet. Third, use what you already have. Open the customized menu on Claude right now. Anthropic shipped 11 plugins on January 30th, 12 more on February. They're free, organized by department, sitting in your subscription. Install one and see what skills and commands are already pre-built. Then come back and build your own. Remember Neo at the start of this? 3 seconds, no training, full capabilities. Here's the thing that nobody mentioned on that scene. Neo didn't write Kung Fu. Someone wrote it for him. Then he plugged in. The operator builds the skill, the agent plugs in. That is the unlock. That is the whole movie. Your knowledge transfer is 1 interview away from an explicit skill. Here's what the channel's been saying since day 1. Ephemeral agents, persistent operator. The agents come and go. The conversations end. The next ones start fresh. but your skills don't. The skills persist with you. They're yours. The agent picks them, use them, and when the conversation ends, the expertise packets are sitting on your hard drive, ready for the next agent. That's the operator's builder's bridge. Not agents replacing humans, not humans use AI. Operators build a format, agents plug into it. The agents do the work, the operator owns the library. That's the architecture. That's the move. If this was useful, subscribe and follow for more. Every week, we ship a piece of the operator's builder's bridge. I'm Elliot. I'll see you next week.